everyone, I'm Hannah and today I want to talk about my winter knitting plans. So for this video I want to talk about everything I plan to knit this winter 2025, so I guess roughly January to March-ish. Everything I plan to knit, I'm going to be talking about the pattern and the yarn I plan to use and any other details. And yeah, this winter I have a couple goals for how I went about this list and how I decided what I wanted to make. So one is using patterns that I already own. The second thing is I do want to work a bit through my yarn stash. In 2024, I acquired quite a bit of yarn. One, because I had a yarn store near me closing and they had a huge sale, so I got a bunch of stuff like 25–50% off. And two, I went to Europe and I did a lot of yarn shopping in Copenhagen and in Helsinki. So I have quite a bit of yarn acquired. So I'm trying to use up some yarn in my stash and not purchase too much, although I already have bought some new yarn for some of these projects. The last goal I kept in mind while picking out these plans was to try to knit from some new designers. Want to try out some new people. There's some classic favorite designers out there that I have yet to try, so want to try some of those and maybe some other smaller designers. So I'm going to start with everything I've already started and I'm working on and want to finish this winter, which is 3 projects. And then 5 sweater patterns, 2 beanies, a sock, a dog sweater, and then one last honorable mention for the end. And yeah, I might not get to all of this, plans might change, but this is just kind of what I'm thinking for right now. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing I'm working on right now is the Solene cardigan by Moreca Knit. This is a V-neck cardigan pattern with I-cord little bow ties. As soon as I saw this, I knew I wanted to make it. Definitely one I just instantly loved. And for this, I was able to buy the suggested yarn while I was in Copenhagen. So this, I am using the Shepherd yarn Pure Lana. It is a 50-50 blend of wool and alpaca in this like chartreuse slime-ish green color. The colorway on this one is 814. And then this is the alpaca lace weight I'm holding with it from Sandus Garn. I also got this in Copenhagen, and this is not in English, but I think I think the colorway is, it's just numbers, it's 9825. Holding these two together, and I will show you my progress. So this, you start at the back, you work this back panel, and then you have the 2 fronts. So I've connected underneath the arms, obviously still have a lot of the body to go, and the arms. And then I'll do the ties and all of that. But I don't know how well you can see this because it's probably all rolled up right now. But I did work like the V-neck. You can kind of sort of tell there's a V-neck there. So yeah, this is a lot of purling. So that is holding me back slightly, but it is a decently size gauge. I think, what am I using? 4.5 millimeters. So it's not taking too long, but yeah, that's one I am working on and would like to finish and have. It is a little bit more of a springy color, but I think the fiber content leans a little more towards winter, so I don't know, will be nice to have. I'll probably use it in both winter and spring. The next project I have in process is the Doppio sweater by Seunghee. Let me open this up. So this is a pretty basic raglan sweater construction, but what's fun about it is you hold 3 strands of yarn together, and so you can get some really interesting color combinations, and there's just like endless possibilities with this because you can use 3 different yarns at once. So I will show you what mine's working up like, and then I'll show you the yarn I'm using. This is the front. Ooh, it looks nice on camera. Yeah, it's kind of got all sorts of colors in it. It's mostly like blues and greens, browns. There's a little bit of like terracotta in there, some like light pink, light yellow. Yeah, I'm really loving how this is working up. So to make this, I am using, this is like this the star of the show, I'd say, the one that's giving it most of the color, is this Twisted Ambition Yarns. It is a baby Surrey alpaca silk blend. It's the Spark yarn in the color Seriously. I only have the mohair caked up, so you really can't see the colors, but if I can, I'll insert a picture. It's like a light yellow, light pink, light blue, very subtle, but I think it does add some to the sweater. This is yarn I bought also in Copenhagen. I'm probably not going to try to pronounce this, but this is the brand and the yarn name. And yeah, it's a silk mohair, kid mohair silk. I believe it's hand dyed. And the colorway is called Candy Clouds. And then the last strand I am using, another Copenhagen purchase, is the Filcolana Alva, which is 100% alpaca, and it's just kind of like this cream, simple cream color. But yeah, it's creating like a very light, fluffy fabric. It's working out very quickly because this is, what, 6 millimeters? Yeah, 6 millimeter project, so pretty large needle size. And yeah, I think I will have this done fairly soon, and this will be a great fluffy winter sweater. I feel like it'll probably be pretty warm because there's, yeah, mohair, alpaca, all sorts of warmer wool in this, so yeah. For the last work in progress I have, it is definitely not going to be finished this winter. It is very much a long-term project, but I just started the Stella Quilt blanket. Am I saying that right? Yes, I just started the Stella Quilt blanket, and this is by Laura Penrose, which I forgot to say earlier, but all three of these works in progress are new designers to me. So I haven't worked with any of their patterns before, so that's so far so good with all of them. I'm really loving all three of these patterns. Anyways, back to Stella Quilt. I have barely just started 3 squares. Got like 200 or something more to go. But this is I'm mostly using yarn from a advent calendar that I had for the month of December. I will try to show you this. This is my basket of all of them, but as you can see, hopefully, and I'll dig around so you can see, there's some blues and purples buried in here too. Yeah, there's like 30 skeins of yarn in here, so there's a lot, but yeah, this is from Fangirl Fibers Advent that I had in December, plus like 10 or so random stock yarns I had in stash that I'm using to make this. So it'll be very much rainbow. I'm going to my plan is to do the 12 motif blanket, so there will be like 12 quilt squares, and each one will be like generally all like the same color, so it'll be like a red tone, orange, green, blue, and we'll just see how we go. Probably multiple blues, for example, because I have like 10 blue yarns in here. So yeah, these are, as you can see, mostly tonal, actually basically all tonal solid color yarns in here. So yeah, and then this I'm using, what am I using? I am using Cascade Heritage sock yarn for the main color, so like the background color, which it's in the colorway Macadamia. It is like a cream off-white color. I didn't want it to be like stark white, but I didn't want it to be like too much going on, so I think that's like the perfect off-white neutral for the background. So yeah, with this, since there are 12 squares I'm trying to make, my current plans, which we'll see how this pans out, is to do 1 square per month. So, or one quilt motif per month. So like this first January, I'll do this red one. And yeah, I think that'll keep me on a good pace if I go quicker than I do, or who knows, we'll see what happens. But hopefully this will be done by the end of the year. All right, that is everything I have currently going on. And now I'm gonna walk through what's in my queue, what's in my next plans. So yeah, like I said, I have 5 sweater patterns on my list. Chances are I won't get to all 5, but I'm just gonna talk about all of them anyways. And we'll see what we get to. The first one, and I'm probably going in priority order of how I'm gonna do these, but we'll see, is the Halibut sweater by Caitlin Hunter. So this pattern would be a lot of firsts for me. I've never done a circular yoke sweater, and I've never done color work like this before. I've done one color work sweater, but yeah, I think it'll be a fun challenge. I really just love this pattern. Yeah, I just bought the yarn, the main color yarn for this, and I ended up going for the main color, doing Juniper Moon Farm Patagonia Organic Merino, and I chose the color Mahogany, so like a deep dark brown with a little bit of I guess kind of like some reds and a couple other speckle colors in there. And then I had something in stash. This I got from a like local fiber market, and it didn't come with a label or anything, so I can only assume it's like 100% wool. It looks like it's a 2-ply, kind of like this oatmeal-y color. There's like a lighter and a darker color spun together. But yeah, I really have no idea like what it is, but I measured the wraps per inch, and it was measuring about what I need it to be, so hopefully all is well. I'll get to use this local wool. And yeah, that'll be the contrast color for this Halibut sweater. So yeah, hoping to get this yarn in the next week or so, and then get this casted on by the end of, like, I don't know, by mid-January or so. So we'll see how this one goes. I am excited and slightly nervous. The next thing on my list is the Rhodes sweater by Ozetta. Ozetta is one designer I haven't knit with before, but I really love her patterns, and I do want to try. I actually have 2 of her sweater patterns on my list for the winter. But yeah, I was just thinking about how I really want a basic cobalt blue, slightly oversized sweater. Nothing too complicated with the pattern, but just kind of like a solid everyday sweater. I think it'll be a good oversized fit. I really just love there's just some subtle details on this, like on the shoulders. I really love the look of the rib and the slightly rolled hem look on the sleeves and the bottom of the sweater. So I debated buying new yarn for this, but I stopped myself and remembered that last year I made a cobalt blue cardigan that I'm not loving and was considering ripping back. So this is some of the scraps. As you can see, it's very bright cobalt blue. This is Malabrigo Rios in Matisse blue, and just reuse the yarn for something I think I'll wear a lot more. Yeah, I'm excited to repurpose some yarn, try out a new designer, and hopefully add something to my wardrobe that I will wear quite often. All right, next on my list is something that's been on my list for a long time. This is the Daydreamer cardigan by Kutivakika, or Veronika Lindberg, who's someone whose YouTube videos I watch quite often, but I have not knit one of her patterns yet. This is very much a dupe for the Sezane Emile cardigan, which is something I've been very tempted to buy many times, but I've always been like, you can make that. So I finally am doing it. I did buy new yarn for this, but I did also have a gift card for my sister for the holidays, so I said this is a good excuse to buy this yarn. For this one, I ended up buying the Sandusgarn Borstedt Alpaca, which is a brushed alpaca, 96% brushed alpaca, 4% nylon, worsted weight. So I'm just gonna hold that single with nothing else. And the colorway is Jolly Blue. I'm excited to have my own version of the Sezane Emile cardigan, not having to pay the price of that cardigan, just paying for it in the cost of yarn and probably about 20 hours of my time. So so this next sweater checks off all 3 things on my goals list. This is the sweater number 18 by My Favorite Things Knitwear. I've never knit a My Favorite Things knitwear pattern before. I've had this in my library for a long time, and I have yarn that I already swatched and is a perfect fit for this. This is an all over textured drop shoulder sweater. And for this I plan to use Arisfield Designs Highland yarn in, this is color 55 Pebble. I don't really know how to describe this color. It's kind of like tan, green, gray, one of those like ambiguous neutrals. And I did make a swatch for this already, so I kind of made it in the textured pattern similar to what is the sweater will look like here, and the gauge was lining up perfectly, just having this one yarn. The pattern does suggest that you hold it with a mohair, but I'm at the gauge without it, so I'm just gonna stick with that and not buy a mohair for it. But yeah, this was another yarn I bought on super sale. I think I got this 50% off a sweater quantity when one of my local yarn shops was closing last year. This yarn is definitely a lot hardier than most yarns I work with. I tried making a different pattern with it and it just wasn't working out. So I'm glad I found this, and the gauge is matching, and yeah, I think this will be a good staple. I think this yarn will wear very well and last a long time, so yeah. All right, last on my sweater list for this winter is the Lakes Pullover by Ozetta. So this is another pattern I've had in my pattern library for a long time. It is another kind of oversized drop shoulder sweater. Are we seeing a bit of a pattern here? I don't think I realized that almost all of these sweaters I drop shoulder, which I think Raglan's my preferred construction for actually knitting it, but I think I like the look of drop shoulder better. Anyways, I had this yarn in my stash, which is the Queensland Collection Falkland Worsted. It is 100% wool, it's merino. This is in the colorway Tawny. It's like a rust reddish orange color, and I did go ahead and make a swatch for this. I did try it in the texture pattern as well, from the My Favorite Things knitwear sweater number 18. I didn't love how it looked in this, so I think, here, I can hold these side by side. I think I much prefer the texture in this over this, and I think the stockinette looks a lot nicer in this. I do like the stockinette here too, but anyways, this was matching the stockinette gauge and this was matching the textured gauge a lot better, so that helped me make my decision for what yarn to use where. And yeah, this is kind of another basic sweater. This is pretty soft yarn. Hopefully it wears well and doesn't pill too easily or anything like that, but I think this could be a really good, just basic, everyday, comfy sweater. So yeah, it is a little lower on my list. We'll see how many of these sweaters I get to this winter, but that rounds out all of my sweater plans. Next, let's hop into beanies. So the first beanie I want to make in this winter is I want to make another of this beanie I'm wearing right now. So this is one I made in, I believe, 2023, and it was one of the first knitting patterns I made where it just turned out exactly as I wanted. The fit's great. It is by far my most worn knit item. I wear this multiple times a week in the colder months. I love the color, and I don't know, it's just like one of my favorite knit items I've ever made. It was hand-dyed yarn I bought actually on a trip to Denver, and so yeah, I was just wearing it the other week and was like, why don't I try to find this exact yarn again? And I went to the internet and actually found a store not too far from me that sells it. So I've ordered it and it is on the way. The yarn is called, this is the Nerd String Merino DK yarn. and this is the colorway Rosy. So I bought it again, the exact same yarn, and this time I bought this Chartreuse with Envy. So this is just like the perfect green chartreuse color that I love, and I think I will wear it a bunch, just like this one. When I originally made this pink beanie, I mostly followed the cinnamon beanie pattern by Drops design. If you've ever knit anything from the Drops website, you know they are free patterns, but they are not always the best. So I think I kind of like made it up and did my own thing in a couple spots, but it's pretty basic, like folded brim beanie all stockinette. You like connect it here. So yeah, bottom up, start down here, work your way to the top and do your decreases. So yeah, hopefully I can match exactly what I did here the first time and have my favorite beanie in green. The second beanie pattern I want to knit this winter is the Weekend Hat by Petite Knit. This is another one that's been sitting in my pattern library and I haven't made it yet. And yeah, I also bought this yarn when my local yarn shop had everything on sale. So this is the Madeline Tosh DK 100% superwash merino yarn, and it is in the color Blood Runs Cold. Yeah, I don't know, I just saw this and thought like red hat, this is what I want to make with it. And yeah, the Weekend Hat, the hat in the pattern photos is red. I want to do something slightly different but still pretty basic. So yeah, this one just has a little 1x1 rib, folded brim, fairly simple but a little different than a stockinette beanie. And yeah, hopefully this will turn out somewhat similar to the pattern photo here. Yeah, I don't have a lot of red in my wardrobe, but it is a color I've been interested in having more of, so I thought this would be a good introduction to red, adding more red to my wardrobe without it being a garment or anything like that, just doing a red hat. All right, the next thing I want to make this winter is at least one pair of socks. So I think last summer fall, I bought the sock project book by Summerlee Knits, and I've made one pair of socks, the basic sock #1 pattern out of it so far, but there's like, I don't know, 20 or 30 patterns in there, so I would like to keep working my way through that book, trying some different sock techniques and kind of figure out like my perfect sock recipe, see like exactly what size I like to make to best fit my foot. So yeah, I'm kind of thinking of just going in order and going basic sock 1, basic sock 2. So the basic sock 2 is the Afterthought heel, which I have not tried yet. So yeah, like I said, wanting to try some new sock techniques. I do have a bit of sock yarn in stash. This is one I pulled that I think could be fun just to have like a light blue sock. Maybe I'll end up picking a different color to do like the cuffs or heel in, but yeah, I don't want to, I have some like sock yarn in stash that I've hand dyed and some that are like a little bit more special, but I think I want to save those until I really know what I'm doing with socks. So this is the Cascade Yarns Heritage, which I'm just now realizing is the same I'm using for the main color of my Stella quilt blanket. Anyways, pretty affordable sock yarn that if it kind of doesn't turn out, I won't be too upset. The next on my list is a sweater for my dog. I've made her a couple things before, a couple sweaters and things, but it's been a while and I feel like I owe her a new sweater. I have 2 on my list and I have some yarn in stash, so I'm not exactly sure what I'm gonna do yet. This one is just too cute and I just wanted to mention it. It's the Dachsie Hug by Faye Kennington. Maybe it's just a model in these photos, but I'm obsessed. The only thing is it's worsted weight, and the yarn I'm planning to use is DK. So maybe I'll try to make it work, or I don't know, save it for later. But I do have a DK pattern on my list, also with a very cute model. This is the Portland Raglan dog sweater by CalicoRadio Knits. So this is, I guess, Raglan construction for a dog, which would be interesting. So this project's a little bit less planned out, but I do have a lot of these scraps that I would like to use from sweaters I made my nieces for Christmas. This is the Cascade Yarn Sarasota. It is a cotton acrylic blend, but I think it'll be good to be easily washable and nothing too fancy for a dog. But I have it in cobalt blue, light blue, green, a light pink, purple, and then I have a whole full white left. Oops. So yeah, I don't know if I'll do like stripes or some sort of motif, or like maybe duplicate stitch, or I don't know. I don't have too many exact plans for this one, but I think it'll just be fun to like play with color and try out a new technique with a dog raglan sweater, and yeah, just see what happens. All right, last on my list is just kind of an honorable mention. I don't have yarn or a pattern, or, well, I have a pattern idea, but I haven't bought it yet for this, but just something I've been thinking about I think would be really fun for the winter, and just something that could be really fun to try is felted slippers. So there's a couple patterns I've seen for this. The one I have saved here is the women's Scuff felted slippers by Monique Ray. You basically just knit like a giant sock with 100% wool, put it in the washer or dryer and heat it up and shrink it until it becomes felted, and then you have these like clog looking slippers. I just think that sounds kind of scary but really cool. And I think that would just be like a fun, maybe like a weekend project or something. I don't think it would take too long. But yeah, the one suggested yarn is Lion Brand Fisherman's Wool, which I know is like pretty easily accessible, 100% wool from like Joann or other big stores like that, and pretty inexpensive. So that might be a good yarn to use and try out for this. But yeah, let me know if any of you have tried felting anything before. I don't know. I think it could be a lot of fun to try and see what happens, and hope for the best. So that rounds out everything on my list, plans, goals for this winter. I plan to film updates as I go along with these, so subscribe and stick around to see how these projects pan out. Let me know if you have any fun winter knitting plans, and yeah, thanks for watching this one, and I'll see you next time. Bye.